As with all tower defense games, there are always some towers that will end up being better than others. Sometimes some towers are so bad in comparison to others that they are literal, and sometimes they're so good, they make any level they're used in extremely trivial. Of course, this also applies to Plants vs Zombies Brutal Mode mod, the mod that makes the game much more difficult. If you haven't watched Brutal Mode before, I suggest you watch the previous parts before watching this tier list so you would have more of an idea of what changes have been made to the plants in Brutal Mode. So today I'll be ranking the plants in Brutal Mode all the way from the worst to the best and give my opinion on them. With that out of the way, let's get right into the tier list. I won't include these plants in my tier list as they do two specific things and are too unique from other plants, so they aren't really comparable to other plants. Introducing to you the worst plant in Brutal Mode, that is of course Tangle Kelp. 25 Sun to destroy one zombie in the water is a useless ability because none of the zombies in the water are even dangerous. Zombies don't even spawn in the water in the early part of the level. By the time zombies come in the water, you should already have a full set of sunflowers to afford long-term defense, not trying to use Tangle Kelps, or else you're dead already. It's legitimately the only useless plant, deserving of the F tier placement. Hypnoshroom only targets one zombie at the cost of 75 Sun. This plant is useful for 2 levels during the night, and then you forget about it because you can pay 50 more Sun to nuke the whole board instead. It doesn't work in daytime and does nothing against Zombonis or Gargantuars, so there is absolutely no reason to use this inefficient plant, but it's not completely useless for a maximum of 2 levels. Kernel Pole is severely outclassed by its counterpart, Cabbage Pole. It does nearly no damage to zombies, and Cabbage Pulse would provide much greater damage and also slows down enemies permanently when spammed, unlike the unreliable Kernel Pole buttering. There are many other soloing options better than Kernel Pole, and its only use is when you need to bring it because you want to use Cob Cannon. Don't even bother with the 1% chance to lob the Cob Cannon shot because it rarely happens, thanks to how slow it shoots. Mari Gold now generates random seed packets, but it has no value in any real strategy and can only serve as a funny joke of 450 Sun. Having an absolutely ridiculous recharge time of 6 minutes, it fails to do anything reliably because it usually gives you trash seed packets that are unusable, like mushrooms during day levels, random coffee beans, and water plants on non-pool levels, and rarely gives you anything that is worth of value at just the right time. At best, you get a melon pult, but just using another plant that synergizes with your actual strategy is just better. Pea Shooter is the plant you're forced to use for 8 levels straight and then you abandon immediately after unlocking Repeater. It's pretty bad as a plant because it's an incredibly inefficient use of space. Pea Shooters shoot faster in Brutal Mode and also have 10% chance to shoot melons, basketballs, or snow peas, but that pales in comparison to the Repeater's strength. It's not worth to use Pea Shooter as a temporary early defense either because potato mines and squashes do a better job. There's no reason to use Cherry Bomb. It's fine for what it does, as a 150 Sun instantly blowing up a 3x free area, but often that is redundant because walnuts also blow up a 3x free area and are cheaper. Cherry Bombs have the advantage of being able to blow up anything immediately like Zombonis and Gargantuars. However, there's a much better alternative in day levels, which is Jalapeno, and more on that later, and Doomshroom is also way better than Cherry Bomb at nighttime. It has some usage in early levels as an inefficient early game defense, but Cherry Bomb is just outclassed. I don't use Cactus because Blover is by far the better plant, even generally speaking. There are not many levels where Cactus is usable because it does not pop balloons on roof levels since it's a straight shooter. It does now knock back zombies based on chance, where its chance of knocking back zombies is based on how many zombies are in that row, with a guaranteed knockback if there are 25 or more zombies in its row. Cactus deals 1,350 damage per minute compared to the Repeater's average 2,496 damage per minute, and it's really not worth it to sacrifice about 54% of your damage compared to Repeaters for some slim chance of knockback in my opinion. Snow Peas essentially double any damage output in your lane because slowdown causes zombies to move twice as slow. Snow Peas in Brutal Mode shoot a burst of freezing shots after shooting 15 times, so they're even stronger than before. However, it's a struggle to find a reasonable level for Snow Peas when Free Peters directly outclass them. Free Peters only cost double, yet they deal triple the damage, making it far more cost and space efficient. It's slightly more cost efficient when placed on the top or bottom rows because of its burst attack that activates after 15 shots, but it's still more worth it to go for Free Peters because it's worth the slight cost and efficiency in exchange for space efficiency. Cabbage Pults are equivalent to Pea Shooters because you forget about them once you unlock Melon Pults. However, I'm placing them higher because they are a quite bit better than Pea Shooters. Firstly, Cabbage Pults now lob Winter Melons, and so sorry for screwing this up. This is actually not dependent on RNG. Cabbage Pults always lob a Winter Melon shot after lobbing 10 cabbage shots, no matter what. you can guarantee infinite slowing with just 3 cabbage poles every column, making them significantly better than pea shooters. This also makes them better than kernel pole, since cabbage pole will reliably slow down zombies, and kernel pole's butter shots are dependent on chance. Given the benefit of being a lobbing plant, which makes it effective against zombies with shields and usable on the roof level, cabbage pole is ranked in C tier. Tallnut is far inferior to the walnut as a wall plant, and its gimmick of being able to block jumpers is irrelevant since tallnuts cannot block pole vaulting zombies or dolphin riders anymore in Brutal mode. Tallnuts are more expensive and cannot be used as early game defense since it doesn't affect adjacent rows, unlike walnuts' death explosion. Its advantage over walnuts is that it does damage to zombies that hurt it and still does a squash attack at death when trampled, but that can't be relied on. The scenarios where tallnuts are useful are levels with Gatling P buckethead zombies, which demands us to use both tallnut and walnut, but that's pretty much only 2 levels, which are 6-8 and 7-7, because otherwise you would go for Imitator Walnut, and the only scenario where Imitator Walnut can't be used is during Adventure 1. Tallnut is just outclassed. It's not necessary to use garlic for chomper or gloomshroom strategies to work. In pool levels, just 2 chompers in the water paired with 1 chomper in each row beside the pool is sufficient to defend everything. In that context, Pumpkin is far superior because it protects the chompers in the water that are placed all the way in the front. Gloomwalk is significantly worse because of pole vaulting zombies, which makes placing gloomshrooms or chompers at the back much more desirable, as that will actively stall out levels, giving time to plant planterns to counter pole vaulters. Garlic also easily falls apart to zombonis, which will then require the use of spike rocks, but if you're using spike rocks, you might as well go with pumpkins to halt zombies in place in front of the pumpkins. Gold Magnet is not useless in Brutal mode, as it now collects sun instead of coins and makes the sun it collects worth 5 sun more. This sounds great, but it takes up 2 seed slots to use just for a bit of extra sun. It ain't worth the 2 slots for more sun, because you would save more sun by just using an efficient instant kill plant instead of Gold Magnet. Gold Magnet has failed me in every attempt in using it in many minigames. Is it viable though? I've seen other players use it effectively, but really not what I prefer. Now, it might come as a surprise Co-op Cannon is ranked so low, but the problem with Co-op Cannon, it's so expensive, it's nearly impossible to set up in any normal level. It's fine to use in high gravity and unsodded, but just using chompers or gloomshrooms for splash damage are so much more reliable strategies. Co-op Cannons are obviously still one of the best choices for survival games because it's a reusable cherry bomb, but its usefulness outside of survival is pretty much zero and unnecessary in any normal level. Split Pea is now a repeater on both sides, making it an actual reliable main source of damage that isn't an efficient use of space. Unfortunately, its main purpose, which is countering digger zombies, is not very useful, especially because most levels don't have diggers, and gloomshrooms just do a better job. Spikeweed is a source of damage that takes up no space on the lawn while having infinite pierce, and in Brutal mode can be used on roof levels. Sounds like the perfect plan. But Spikeweed costs 125 sun and don't even kill a single regular zombie, so they're pretty much exclusively used to counter zombonis and not much else. Gatling Pea is fine, but not worth it most of the time. They only defend their own lane, and its extremely slow recharge makes it impractical in the entire adventure mode and also impractical in levels without increased sun availability. Gatling Peas are anti-synergetic to chilling plants since it shoots flaming peas, and are also inferior to repeaters in most levels. However, they're good in the context of dealing with extremely high health zombies, but those don't often appear, so they just sit in C tier for Brutal mode. Torchwood in Brutal mode now allow flaming peas passing through a torchwood to make red flaming peas, which deal triple damage of a regular pea, and also turn snow peas into flaming snow peas. Torchwoods might sound overpowered, but they also cost too much to set up. Their usefulness outside of survival is quite questionable when you're going for a cost-efficient defense, not just the defense that does the most damage. They are only worth it after you can get up a Gatling Pea every row, which is already a difficult enough task, and most of the time, it's inferior to Wintermelon strategies. Starfruit falls short in Brutal mode compared to its vanilla counterpart because its recharge speed is now 4 times slower. Even though each Starfruit is stronger because it has 1% chance of hypnotizing or insta-killing, and a 10% chance to freeze a zombie, Starfruits are way less spammable, amplifying its weakness of their inability to defend zombies in their own lanes. That downside can be decreased with Imitator, but using 2 slots per Starfruit isn't worth it a lot of the time. Ice Shroom offers a freeze and a slowdown of the whole board, but other alternatives do a better job than it. In hindsight, it's a more cost-efficient version of the Blower and Planter combined, but its long recharge time makes it less effective compared to Blower, which slows down zombies for the whole level, and is also a less flexible stun compared to Planter, which costs 3 times less. It's still a very solid plan regardless, which offers a long stun of all zombies and also stalls out the level. Cattails were one of the best early game plants in vanilla, but are surprisingly unuseful in Brutal mode, even costing 50 stun less. It's considerably worse in Brutal mode because groups of zombies overwhelm Cattails with their numbers, as there are 4 times more zombies in Brutal mode. However, being a water-based plant is a huge plus for Cattails since pretty much all the zombies in the water lanes are not threatening at all, making it an okay support plant to add to your arsenal, but not something you'd always want. Repeater is a solid defensive pea shooting plant. Versatile, and not too expensive to plant as a good source of damage, it's a much more practical plant in the vast majority of adventure levels as your main source of damage compared to Gatling Peas. Its buffs in Brutal mode accumulate to about a 20% damage buff alone, with just 2 repeaters in a row. Not even the faster Zombonis in Brutal mode would break through. However, repeaters do not work with chilling plants, cannot go through shields, and are also outclassed by Spike Rocks for dealing with Zombonis. Most of the time, just Choppers plus Spike Weed will do a better job. Each Spike Rock offers 9 Zomboni kills, which basically invalidate the difficulty of Zombonis by themselves, and they're also considerably affordable for the damage they do, costing only 250 cents in total to afford. Spike Rocks kill regular zombies without needing to rely on their 5% knockback chance, fanning out crowds for heavy attackers to deal more damage. They synergize best with Chompers and Pumpkins because zombies stand on a tile in front of the pumpkin, and Spike Rocks will deal massive damage while protecting Choppers from Zombonis. However, Spike Rocks are very vulnerable to Jack-in-the-Box zombies and Screener zombies that can kill them from afar, which, in turn, can be prevented with Magnet Shrooms. They are powerful plants that can negate the effect of many zombies in the game, most notably football zombies. Thanks to Magnet Shrooms, levels like 5-4 are much easier to beat. Magnet Shrooms are especially good with Choppers since they remove metal objects like bucket heads and football helmets, allowing Choppers to clean up. Magnet Shroom can now remove all metal objects on the screen at once after it has removed 5 metal objects regularly, allowing it to be even used in survival. Melon Pulse cost less, but they still have several weaknesses. Most importantly, they are bad against high health single units and are not to be relied on as the damage dealers to Zombonis or football zombies, dealing a considerably 30% less single unit damage than repeaters. Melon Pulse are also surprisingly bad against newspaper zombies because they move faster in Brutal mode, making Melon Pulse miss them. Obviously, the lowered single unit damage is offset by their splash damage, so they're considerably better in longer levels with more zombies. It's also noteworthy that Melon Pulse can detect and hit balloon zombies, which can save you a slot compared to say using Repeaters. Repeaters are overall the best pea shooting plant. Costing 350 stun, Repeaters shoot snow peas in free road, making them the most practical pea shooting plant on most levels. Repeaters are both space and cost efficient, and in detecting zombies in free rows allows it to be used as early defense and also a support plant in pool levels. When paired with Torchwoods, Repeaters can also be easily converted to your main source of damage. Although Winter Melons can slow groups of zombies at once, Repeaters outclass Winter Melons early game since it can reliably target free zombies in free rows, unlike Winter Melons' dependency on needing to use its splash attack to affect adjacent rows. Repeaters also have a fast recharge, so 2 of them can be placed quickly to defend all 6 rows in pool levels early game. Generally speaking, Repeater is a very good plant to use for both its power and support. Winter Melons take 175 stun to upgrade from a Melon Pult, so in total costs only 400 stun now. Winter Melons are definitely superior in their late game, as they're the only plant that do both splash damage and slows down zombies. Groups of Winter Melons slow down the entire screen of zombies, and to be real, the game becomes much easier after setting up a few Winter Melons. Moreover, Winter Melons come along with the benefit of Melon Pulse's heavy splash damage, so there's no reason to not use this plant in levels with increased stun availability, such as Big Time or Survival. Its problem lies within setting up Winter Melons in shorter or normal levels, and it's not practical to use Winter Melons in any nighttime level, since they're way too expensive and Fume Shrooms or Doom Shrooms are just more effective. Gravebuster finds itself at A tier as it's essentially compulsory in most levels. With Gravestone spawning throughout the level, Gravebuster becomes an important plant in any levels of free and more flags, since Gravestones will spawn random zombies and simply ignoring them is not a choice, as half your lawn will slowly get blocked from your access. Gravebuster's outer ability to gain 75 stun after creating a plant crater by busting a plant is useful on night levels, usually for giving extra starting sun. A bit of extra starting sun will snowball itself into even more sun, making Gravebusters an excellent choice. Talk about the defense that takes up no space at all. Pumpkin is an extremely strong plant that solidly sits at A tier. It's the same as in vanilla, and its main synergy is choppers and gloom shrooms since they need to be in close range of zombies to attack, which pumpkins enables to do so safely by providing a shield. They invalidate the threat of most ambush zombies, so why they're not ranked in S tier. The first problem is walnuts are more flexible and more well poised for both the early game and as a stalling plant, since pumpkins provide no actual damage against zombies. It's not like you plant pumpkins and win, because these can still easily get destroyed by zombonis. You can just plant spike rocks in front and solve that problem, but that falls apart to screen door zombies since they attack spike rocks from afar and also ignore pumpkins and can directly damage the plant inside the pumpkin, so that's a major downside. Jalapeno in Brutal mode is incredibly good. Targeting its own column means it clears out an entire wave of zombies by itself and also can instantly kill Gargantuars if placed on top of them, since Jalapeno does double damage to zombies on its own tile due to the overlap between the column and row attack, making them significantly better than Cherry Bomb. However, a Jalapeno won't kill all zombies in a wave if fast zombies like football zombies are in the level, since they won't align up with the rest of the zombies, making it hard to time. Regardless, you can plant the Jalapeno on a row with the fast zombie to kill it along the rest of the wave. Gloom Shrooms are the same in Brutal mode as in vanilla. They're still a powerhouse as a plant that outputs an insane amount of damage to an unlimited amount of zombies. The major downside being taking 3 seed slots to use in day levels. In daytime, it costs 300 suns in total compared to the chopper's 250 sun cost, making it an inferior option since the latter has the benefit of both costing less and also taking up only 1 seed slot plus recharging faster. Gloom Shroom is better than Chomper in 2 ways, which is the fact it also attacks behind itself, making it effective against daggers, and it is 25 sun cheaper than Choppers during nighttime. Even though Gloom Shroom is usually outclassed, that doesn't mean Gloom Shrooms are still not ridiculously good when you use them, so they deserve their spot in A tier. Blover costs 75 sun, and instead of only being a counter to balloon zombies, they now do 60 damage to all zombies across the screen and slow them all down. It's a rather strong ability for its cost, since Blover's fast cooldown allows it to take down basic zombies in the early game. Its slowdown works on every level, and can slow down masses without the need to plant winter melons. It's also overall the best balloon zombie counter, since it hits all balloon zombies at once. Sea Shrooms, although restricted to only one area of the game, is an auto-include plant in all fog levels. Sea Shrooms are now the equivalent to Amphibious Puff Shrooms, as they also have fast recharge. Similar to Puff Shrooms, Sea Shrooms also disappear after a while, but that is much less of a problem for them since you don't need quite more than about 3 or 4 Sea Shrooms in a single row, considering 3 of them will be sufficient in killing Coneheads. Using them as early defense is pretty much sufficient for both pool lanes up until the first flag, a free form of defense without having to spend a drop of sun. Sea Shrooms are better than Puff Shrooms with Gravebuster, as zombies don't come in the water for the first bit of the level. As mentioned, Puff Shrooms now disappear after a while, so you can't have more than 7 of them at once on the lawn. A well-deserved nerf from the original Puff Shroom capable of beating every night level in the game by itself. That being said, that doesn't undermine the strength of the spammable Puff Shroom, which can still be used as a stalling against Gargantuars, free plants against squash zombies, and also auto-include in every night level as a free defense against all regular zombies and Coneheads. Overall, Puff Shrooms have one major weakness, which are newspaper zombies, since Puff Shrooms will break the newspaper and make the newspaper zombie trample all the Puff Shrooms. So Puff Shrooms need to be dug up preemptively to prevent newspapers from killing everything. Walnuts are useful for virtually every level in the game, to put it that way. Although costing 50 sun more, walnuts explode upon death, single-handedly making walnuts viable as early game defense. You can just plant a walnut down to stall a zombie, and it will explode when the next wave of zombies arrive near the walnut. It's a cherry bomb at the discount of the 50 sun, and although delayed, that's usually beneficial since you can stall out the wave to farm extra sun. For the cost of 100 sun, it is dirt cheap for what it does. Both protection and an instant kill to all zombies around itself after death. Walnuts are extremely useful against zombies like tallnut screen door zombies and Gatling Feet buckethead zombies. You can plant a wall of these down and they will just explode out all the zombies and you won't even have to worry about them. Walnuts might be on the verge of being a broken plant, but I believe that it's just about not too strong to not be placed in S tier, since they don't explode upon death if eaten by a football zombie or trampled, so they don't necessarily break the game. In vanilla, Planturn does what is essentially unnecessary and even does a bad job at getting rid of fog. In Brutal mode, just one Planturn removes all fog in the screen, but its main use is removes all plastic from zombies when placed and also does a 3-second long stun. It is way too cheap for a board-wide stun, which just provides the amount of time needed to do extra damage. Planturn removing cone heads and poles makes it an incredible support plan for choppers, since one chopper can't kill conehead zombies or pole vaulting zombies in the early game. And Planturn just solved that problem. Planturn is so good that you usually should just imitate it, then you can place one for every wave of zombies, invalidating all pole vaulters. The amount of value you can get from just placing Planturns is incredible. And you can also use your Planturn as a chump blocker afterwards, making it worth using in nearly all levels. If you don't use Scaredy Shroom in any light level, you're giving yourself a harder task. Scaredy Shroom transforms into 75 stun immediately if it gets close to a zombie, which is actually the main purpose of this plan. Its recharge time is now doubled, but Scaredy Shroom serving as a consistent income of stun that requires no strategizing and no risk is just overpowered. As previously mentioned, extra starting stun just snowballs itself insanely quickly. They can also be used as a temporary defense at the cost of 25 stun against conehead zombies or anything in particular, and then can always be turned into stun later on in the level by intentionally letting zombies get close to them. Scaredy Shrooms just make night levels bearable, because a lot of the time when your stun production gets completely destroyed, this is your saving grace. It's also noteworthy that Scaredy Shroom is a straight shooting plan, but can shoot across the flat section of the roof when placed on the 4th column, unlike any other straight shooter, giving it a huge advantage on night roof. Potato mines are the absolute perfect early game plan, necessary for almost all levels, and the game is probably impossible to beat without them. The perfect early game costing only 25 stun, this period of squash is the best early game defense for their extremely low cost that ignores the help of the zombie, cheaply defending buckethead zombies at the low cost of only 25 stun, while actively stalling out levels, allowing us to skip the process of planting cheap attackers like pea shooters, giving time to plant sunflowers, and skip to the mid-game plants like repeaters and melon bolts immediately. Squash is still your perfect instant kill plan. You target one tile, and use Squash to instantly destroy everything there for 50 stun. It's necessary to use this in most levels in tandem with Potato Mine to hold off zombies early on, and Squash scales better than Potato Mine later on in the level as it can be used reactively against strong zombies like Zombonis. Beam Shrooms now have full range, making them an incredibly great plan as they can now be placed all the way in the back, safely parked from danger, and shred up the crowds of zombies at the cost of only 125 stun. With the density of zombies in consideration, you're more likely than not to be hitting more than one zombie every time with a Fume Shroom, since levels already immediately ramp up to 8 basic equivalent by the 4th wave of the level, so it's an incredibly cost efficient plan. Its attacks are also not blocked by the roof, so it makes them by far the best attacking plan on Night Roof. It also greatly covers the weakness of Gloom Shrooms and Chompers by killing screen door zombies and newspaper zombies, which make it and Gloom Shroom a very well poised combo. Chompers are uncontestedly the most overpowered attacking plan in Brutal mode. Chompers are the 1 seed slot 250 stun Gloom Shrooms that have fast cooldown. Its absolutely insane efficiency comes from the fact that it has infinite pierce and deals a ludicrous amount of damage that even contests against some of the most powerful zombies like football zombies. Its infinite pierce allows it to easily kill the swarm of zombies in Brutal mode without even breaking a sweat. With 4 times as many zombies, splash damage plants become significantly more important, and Chomper is the best of them all. You can just plant a column of these down and beat pretty much most levels without any challenge at all. Their crazy efficiency allows you to just finish levels with more stun than you can even imagine, because they are that stupidly efficient, unmatched by anything else in Brutal mode. Look at this one time I managed to max out on my stun, getting 9,990 stun by the end of the level, because I didn't even have to change my defense ever since the 2nd flag, because I was already finished with planting Chompers by then, and all I did was just planting some more pumpkins and replanting spike rocks. Even Dolphin Rider zombies become practically irrelevant after you use Chompers, because Chompers will attack safely parked in the ground lanes, safe from the threat of Dolphin Riders in the water. The other major advantage is Chomper strategies do not need to bring Gravebuster in pool levels, as you only need to use the backmost 4 columns and pool rows to defend everything, such as the 1 seed in Zombie Nimble Zombie Quick. Still though, Chompers are in a plant that has no weaknesses because it can't bite through shields, so you need Fume Shrooms. Unlike Doom Shroom, the definition of the trump card in both the real life equivalent and in game, at the cost of 125 sun, you may nuke basically what is the entire board, since its area of effect is 7x5 in areas with 5 rows and 7x6 in pool levels. That is essentially the entire board, because the backmost few columns are probably just your sun producers and regular attackers. Doomshroom is so broken that it removes any form of strategy or thinking about what kind of plants you should bring to do damage because it's actually unnecessary. Screen door zombies? Doomshroom. Football zombies? Doomshroom. Jalapeno zombies? Doomshroom. You can even beat every night level in Adventure 2 with just Doomshroom and Imitator Doomshroom, and that's just how broken it is because it literally one-shots the entire screen at once unless they're Gargantuars. Its only downside, which is its crater, barely becomes a problem because if so many tiles you can place Doomshroom in, it doesn't actually end up mattering 95% of the time. In daytime levels, you can stock up Doomshrooms and then activate them when you need them, so it's not necessarily actually a bad thing if Doomshrooms sleep in the day. This plant has no weaknesses and allows you to play Brain Dead, making it undeniably the best plant in Brutal mode. And that's it for the Brutal mode mod plant tier list. I hope you enjoyed this video of me giving my opinion on all the plants in Brutal mode. Tell me in the comments below if you'd like to disagree with my tier list placements, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with more modded PvZ content, including more Brutal mode content. If you'd like to send me your own tier list for Brutal mode, you can always join our Discord and send it there. The link is in the description below. For now, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching!